Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez. This is my workshop. I've got a treat for you today. I'm really thrilled to share an experience I just had, and I want to share some materials and gifts that I was given, and a visit that I had with a friend, a fellow YouTuber. You've heard me mention him several times throughout many of my videos, and I don't want this to be every video I do I mention, Dave. It's Dave M. Go check his channel out. I'll leave a link in this video. I'll be careful not to make, I want my content to be my content. But in this case, I actually had the opportunity to meet up with Dave. I didn't record it. We didn't take any pictures. I wanted it to just be a personal meet and greet between Dave and I. Dave, if you don't know the history of the channel, if you're new to the channel, really early on in my, when I first started YouTube, and I didn't start YouTube with any expectations other than to share an unboxing and my experience with the Vevor mini lathe. Then I fell in love with machining as a hobby. I absolutely love it. And early on, Dave, I don't know how he found the channel or it popped up somehow. He started posting advice. And if you've ever watched his channels, Dave's a matter of fact guy. He'll tell you if you're making mistakes. He'll tell you when you're doing a good job. And early on, he was helpful, and I wasn't really responding to a lot of people who's new to YouTube. I didn't like, you get camera shy. This is difficult to do YouTube. It's difficult to put your mug on the internet, and then to get criticized for all the things you're doing wrong. Of course, I was doing things wrong. I was new to the hobby, but Dave was there early on, and he posted several comments, and finally, someone else said, Dave said, "Hey, I emailed you. Check my email." He was offering advice, free advice. And again, I was so new to everything. I was just barraged with all kinds of stuff, so I was ignoring a lot of it. Finally, someone else said, "Go check your email. Dave's contacting you." I'm like, okay, well, this Dave guy must be know what he's doing or have something to say. So I went and checked the email. He offered me all kinds of advice. So really early on, Dave started watching my videos. He watches most of them. He comments on some he doesn't. Sometimes he'll just email me. It's not that every video he has criticism or anything like that. He just likes to encourage me, let me know if I'm doing a good job or a bad job. But early on, I needed a mentor, so to speak. I don't have any friends that are into this hobby. I don't have really any professionals that I can bounce ideas off of. But he's been there, and I thought, well, okay, I'll engage Dave, and we'll communicate back and forth and talk about machining and some of the tips and tricks, terminology, all the kinds of stuff. I had a lot to learn, still do. And over the last 2 years, we've become good friends. We communicate and collaborate, sometimes about YouTube and that side of things, and mostly about machining. Well, Dave's been doing this for a very long time. And he's accumulated all kinds of tooling and learned a lot of the mistakes he's trying to prevent me from making by suggesting different purchases to make and tooling, things to avoid. Everybody has their preference on what kind of tooling to use or have in their arsenal of tools. But he's always offered me guidance towards what I'll need, what I won't use. Don't buy this. You're never going to use that. And he's also, as he goes through his garage tools and stuff, if he's got a few things laying around, he's sent them my way. I've shared those in the past, but when we met up, he had this box of stuff, quite a bit of stuff really, but he was doing a garage clean out, and he's like, I'm newer to the hobby, I don't have a lot of this stuff. And so he just set it aside, and he was going to send it to me, and then it just so turned out that I was going to be traveling to near where he is, and we had the opportunity to meet up. It just worked out. This wasn't a travel meet and greet just to meet another YouTuber. This was just a friend that I had, and I happened to be in the area, and I thought maybe this is a good opportunity for us to meet up. And it worked out. We were able to meet for a couple hours, get to know each other better on a personal level, talk about each other's lives, and it was just a fantastic meeting, and I was just grateful to be able to finally meet him in person. And it just makes that personal connection that you make through YouTube. I never thought I would make friends on YouTube, make a friend or meet people, but really it's become a community. There's tons of people out there that want to help. The advice that I get in the comments it's just a wealth of information. The collective knowledge of the people on the internet with experience is fantastic. Don't take it for granted. Read the comments, filter through the crap, find the good ones. There's a lot of good stuff out there, especially on my videos, and I'm sure all of the big guys' videos and stuff. So with all that said, that's kind of the intro to this video, and I was able to meet with him. Like I said, I didn't want to record it. We didn't want to take pictures. I just wanted it to be someone that I met, a friend that I met. And I didn't want to stick cameras in our faces and all that kind of stuff. But what I do want to share with you is what passed along my way. It's kind of like a pay it forward thing. He used these tools. These are tools he didn't use. He's got extras. And so he's giving them to somebody that he knows will use them and appreciate them and cherish them. And someday I hope to do the same. If I find somebody who is also equally eager and into the hobby and needing tools, I have no problems paying it forward and passing along some knowledge and tools to someone else out there. It just has to be genuine, and you don't just make that kind of a friendship and connection overnight. I'm going to show you what gifts he was gracious to pass along my way. And if you didn't watch the last video or two, I actually gave Dave a couple things that I made. Nothing near to the extent that he's passed along my way, but I made him one of those put and take game pieces, a large brass one, and I made a couple. I've actually got mine here, nylon V blocks. This is actually the UHMD high density plastics, and I passed along a couple of those to him. Of course they're not super precise, and he's working on his. I don't know if he'll share a video. I hope he does. It'd be interesting to see. But he was measuring them, and they're about 4th out from one end to the other, and he was fly cutting them and working with them to make them more precise. He tends to work on smaller materials with different ways of using his V block, so he's going to modify them, which again I have no problems with. I think it's fantastic. It's awesome. But I hope he shares that. I hope he recorded it and shares some of it. If you haven't, Dave, if you do have some footage of that, throw it out there. I think other people might be interested. I know I will be. But I gave him a set of those. So I just wanted to give him a couple of these original parts that were made in my workshop when we finally met up. And again, it worked out. I already have a clip on these. This is diamond paste that he sent my way. I'm going to do some lapping. I've got a piece in here that I want to work with and see if I can have better luck than he did on lapping and making it a little more precise. First thing I'll show you, he gave me some more literature, some more books. These are Machining Fundamentals book. It's in great condition. There's all kinds of information in here. This is a fantastic book. I think what I'll do is switch camera angles here and get you in closer so you can actually see what this book is, and I'll go through it. But he sent, I think these are like if you took a college course, Machining Fundamentals, there's an instructor manual that he was able to get. He bought these on eBay, but I'm pretty sure he got them from the actual instructor, because this is the instructor's manual that he got along with it. Pretty cool stuff. The details that are in here are just fantastic. Some of this knowledge in these literature, it's kind of gets lost and forgotten, so I'm grateful to have actual physical books. I don't like to, the whole point of this manual machining hobby is I don't want to go to the internet and type and click on there all the time. I want to look at reference material and figure things out on my own. That's what a big part of this is for me. Let me switch camera angles here. We'll get you in closer and we'll go through what I got. So like I said, Dave was kind enough to give me some materials, some learning materials. I believe this is from a college course or some educational course, and I think Dave got this from the actual instructor who taught this course at one point. And this machine has already got notes in it, and there's all kinds. This book has already got notes, real basics of machining. If you're getting into things, it's a really cool book. One that I'm going to go through and just see if I can find some highlights. It just tells you about all kinds of information from an educational classroom type perspective. There's some quizzes in the backs if I want to test my knowledge. Again, this is like a course that you would take. And there's some color pictures in here, how to read a micrometer, things like that. All of that is invaluable information. And I'm just super thrilled to have this. Dial indicators, I've talked about that in some previous videos. You have dial indicators, and then you have dial test indicators. There's a difference. You know, you'd only learn that stuff by doing this or somebody telling you. Optical comparators, things like that. Really, really great information. Here is some, you know, wrenches, things like that. Just everything, right? This is machining, fundamentals of machining. Grinding. This is such a cool book. I'm excited to go through this. So there's just great information in this book. Here's a threading tool. This has the little angle. You can, okay, well, I'm grinding a threading tool, or I can check my angle. But this tool can be used in various ways in order to set up your workpieces, things like that. This goes through that. But I really love that there's pictures in here, and it talks about a milling machine, gets into that section. Really excited about going through this when I got some downtime and just checking everything out. This is an awesome book. In addition to the actual book that you would, if you were taking the course, you would get this book. There's the instructor manual, and it also has some really great charting and information. There's quizzes, test books, testing, some different quizzes and tests that you can take. Just really cool information. Appreciate that. Definitely be reviewing that. I'm going to switch cameras here. The other camera I had is giving me some fits, but I want to get this video knocked out. So keeping with the literature side of things that Dave shared with me, he sent the American Machinist Handbook and Dictionary of Shop Terms. I don't know if it was a joke. He's actually got another one of these. It's hardback, so he's sending this and sharing it my way, just because he had an extra one. But terminology and that sort of thing is something that I always struggle with and need to work on. I get some things right, some things wrong, but it's a learning process, something that I'm getting better with. But look at the size of this book. There's a lot of terms and things to remember. But if I'm looking up something about anything, this book's going to have it. Now, I believe this is like a reprint of an old book that there was no digital versions of, or didn't exist, and it's a scan. They're scanned copies, scanned pages of the original book, and it's done very well. It's very legible. It's not like they went about it haphazardly, but I think it was such an old text that there was no original document to OCR in or scan in. But there's almost like the Machinery's Handbook. This thing has got a wealth of information, and it's every chart you can think of, all kinds of details. I really am thrilled to have this to add to my knowledge book collection. There's just invaluable information in these books, and yeah, they even scanned in the library. Yeah, I don't know how this book was created, but regardless, pretty thrilled to have this. Maybe it's a scam copy of a book. I don't know how that works, but regardless, I'm happy to have this to put in my bookshelf, and I'll have plenty of reference material out of that book. And then he also sent a couple other interests of his my way. Okay, keeping with the literature theme, this is sort of literature, but I'm gonna call it more reference material. He sent some he's got tons of this kind of stuff, and this is a drill hog. Drill hog makes that little cup of oil that I use for tapping and drilling and using the dies. It's really thick oil. It works great, but they must have sent him a gauge to go with it. He's probably got a few of these things laying around. He has this other metal gauge, and this is good for, trying to figure out gauges of wire and drills and that sort of thing. So pretty happy to have those. He also sent a chart. I've got a few charts, but all of them tend to have a little something different than the others. So I'm really happy to have that. This has letter sizes included, and then you have decimal equivalents. These things are very, very handy when you're working in the shop, especially when you're using calipers and micrometers and you're reading in the thousandth scale. You can quickly come over here and find out what it's close to, or what the equivalent is with fractional or metric, things like that. Really happy to have these. Always really happy to have that kind of reference material. Put that aside. He sent just a couple random drill bits. Now, he had a whole pack of these things. They're the unique thing about these, they're extra long for their diameter. They're really small, but he had so many of them, he's like, I'll just give him a couple. So he passed those along my way. Happy to have those. He sent over a live center. This one has no play in it. It's a really nice, high quality live center. It's a Morse taper that will fit in my tailstock, so I can use this thing right away. What I like about this is the footprint of this is so much smaller than the one that I have, which is bigger, and this one's made better. The one I have, I don't think it's 100% true, but I've used it for many things. But this one here, really thrilled to have that, especially with the smaller footprint. Gives me more bed travel on my lathe. He sent over just, he's got so many inserts over the years. He bought so many packs of different tooling. He just sent a little random assortment of different types of inserts. Some of these I have tooling for already, and others I need to probably get some at some point. Some threading, thread tooling, just some carbide. Here's I'm really intrigued with this one. I've seen these shiny ones, I believe, are for aluminum. They got a really deep rake. But I like this style. I've seen Artisan Makes uses this style of insert often, and they give you a really sharp angle. I'm curious. I think someday I'm going to be getting a tool holder so I can hold this style of inserts. And forgive me, I don't know the technical name of that style. Somebody will post it in the comments maybe. I could look it up, but I'm not going to. The other one is the button style inserts. I really would like to get a holder for button style as well. These are nice for creating inside corners, things like that. And if you want to get a little decorative, they work out well. The rest are, either aluminum or, thread cutting inserts, things like that. Here's a parting tool insert. It's neat to have a different assortment so I can see what kind of tool holders or difference of tooling that you can get. Anyway, that's pretty cool to have. He sent over, he had some 1/2-inch thick carbide, brazed carbide tooling. He's never used them. He's not going to use them, so he just passed them my way. All of my tooling with my 0XA tool holders can accommodate, sorry, I'm out of focus, can accommodate 1/2-inch tooling. So I can definitely use these, and I'm going to. I just need to decide what grind I want to put on these and when I'm going to use them. But I do have diamond, I don't have a diamond, I have a grinding wheel that can actually grind down carbide. I've used it before for the other carbide that I have, and I'm gonna get one of these going and just use it. And I appreciate having these, all kinds of tooling. You never know when you need different tooling for different projects. Set that over here. He sent over some different inserts for indicators. He had this set. I don't think it's 100% accurate, he was saying, but it's functional. It gives you a lot of different variation of different style of tips for indicators, and I believe these just screw on and off for like a dial test indicator or a dial indicator. I didn't have a variety of different tips and different applications, so I'm really happy to have these as well. He wasn't using them, so he passed them my way, so I'll take them. That's awesome. Thank you. Is really cool. I'm not sure how accurate it is. There was an issue with it that I'm not sure is repairable, but you can see if you look here that the tips are not aligned. They're spread apart. I'll see if I can do something with that. Maybe I can loosen something up and get those lined up. But this is a micrometer, and it can measure inside bores, things like that. You can, it runs backwards, so if you spin it, it opens up. It's just this different micrometer that I didn't have, and it also has an inspection wheel, 5mm. This is metric too, by the way. So in theory, this should show 5mm in there. Guess I should probably test that. That's what it's for. So this should be 5mm. So I think it needs calibrated. That looks like 3.5 to me, just over 3. So I got some playing around with this to do. It's interesting nonetheless. It's got a calibration tool with it. Really, I don't have one of these, so this is pretty cool to have to play with and learn how to use, even if it's not, you know, Starrett quality or Mitutoyo. It's still something I didn't have, and I'm happy to have it. So, a couple 5C collets he had laying around. He wasn't using them. There's some issues with the inside thread, I believe, and he thought, you know, maybe I can do something with them, play with them. Maybe I'll get a 5C holder someday, and I'm really happy. These are pretty common, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. Definitely have tooling that would fit with these, and I'm happy to have these in order to compare them to some of the other types of holders that I have, and gives me some ideas for future tooling. Get these up here. He sent over a Machinist tapping guide. He had this, and he really couldn't use it. His mill just didn't have the travel that I have with this Precision Matthews, and it's pretty long. Takes a lot of height space, but it's got a 4-jaw clamp on it for using with taps, and you know, you can tighten this thing up, loosen it up, put your tap in here, put this up in a collet, and now you have a tap guide, and you can manually, you know, it's got the knurl on the top, so you can actually get things started. I'm really happy to have this. I have had, you know, with my setups with tapping and stuff, this is definitely going to help improve those setups. Really stoked to have that thing. Set that over here. Just sent a random, he's got 1,000 of these things, so he just sent over, you know, drill bits and, you know, things for your drill and stuff. Nothing Machinist really related, but who doesn't need all those things? I'll definitely be using those. He had a small chuck, Jacobs style chuck, and he wasn't using it, and I thought, and what's really nice is the size of this thing, super small. I don't have anything this small, and again, I'm really happy to have something. The unique thing about this, if you look, you can actually get some really small drill bits in here. It almost closes to 0. If you look at some of the larger chucks, this part here there's a little gap. You can't get real small drill bits in them. So you can't use really small drill bits with some of your tooling if you got the larger chucks. So this is really going to come in handy for those smaller operations with smaller drills. Happy to have this. Really cool to add to the tool collection and abilities that I'll have in the future. He had just had this random magnetic tool stand. I've got some ideas. It's kind of like my handy third hand that I created, but this one's magnetic. This is going to come in handy on the lathe or the mill. I've got some ideas for this already, but he wasn't using it, so he threw it in the box. He sent over, this is really cool. So this is just a small little surface gauge that he has tried to lap multiple times, I guess, and you can see some shiny spots, but I believe he said this was just off. He couldn't get this thing to be on a surface plate. There was always a little play. If he pushed on it, like, there would be a little play with his indicator. So he's tried and messed with it, and he decided, you know, he just decided he wasn't going to use it because he has some other tooling that's always spot on. So he just let this sit, and he thought, he hated to give this one up because it's so nicely made. It's really solid, but the problem is if it's not going to be flat and you can push on it and it shows you variation, then it's not as accurate as it should be. So he just stopped using it. but it's got a really nice fine-tune wheel, thumb wheel here. He added some custom bushings, plastic washers to it so it would tighten up better. He made this custom indicator holder, which is really nice to have that with this part. So I can put my indicator on there, and you can loosen this thing up, rotate this around until you got what you need. And overall, this is such a really cool piece. I'm gonna get the surface plate out and I'll be using this thing. I think I'm gonna practice lapping with this and see if I can get this spot on. I'll give it my best shot. I'm not sure how well I'll do, but this is a really cool piece, and I really appreciate him sharing this, sending it my way, and I look forward to using it. These, it was interesting, he showed me what these were for. You just pop these down, and now you have a solid stop for the edge of your surface plate. Really cool. I would have wondered what those were for if he hadn't told me. So, really cool. This is a really nice piece. Some adjustable parallels. So I was so excited when he showed me this. He threw it in the box. He said, I've got other sets. He said, I'm not using this one. So he sent it my way. These are, I don't know if they came from Banggood or wherever, but regardless, these things are super handy. And the reason that I wanted them was when you're working on different projects and you have a gap and you're trying to measure and you don't really have, or you don't want to use an inside micrometer, you can slide this in, and these pieces will slide in and out, you see? So they get bigger and smaller, and then once you get your gap and then you snug it up, you bring this out and you can use a micrometer to measure the total distance of the height of that. And so you have all this adjustability back and forth, either direction, to get different heights. And in addition to that, you can use these for setups in your mill. You can get them to certain heights that that you need a specific height on. You don't have a gauge block or something in that height. You can actually make your own using these. And this has a whole variation of different sizes, all the way up to this big monster here. Super happy. I was really close. I almost bought one before I left to just have it shipped to the house before I got home. But in the end, I waited, and I just didn't know if I was ready. But I'll tell you, I'm super happy to have these. I'm pretty sure he went through all of these, lapped them, cleaned them up. He's real particular when it comes to his tools, and all of these are really, really cool. Super happy. I was excited to see that. Thank you for that. The last thing I wanted to share, well, he did send some diamond paste. I got a little clip of that, but regardless, knocking things over. This is diamond paste he sent over. That was before I left, but I'm going to use this to try to lap in this thing and get it nice and smooth. I've got some other aluminum and different things that I want to use these with, but diamond paste for different lapping, different grits, pretty cool to have. I want to get into lapping and doing surface finishes, things like that. Finally, the most exciting thing. He made, if you notice on my Gerstner, one of the pins for the front door that flops up and comes down was missing. So it does lock into place, but they're spring loaded and one of them is missing. So only one pin on the door actually keeps it in place. It's functional, but it's not correct. He actually made a pin for me. He sent a couple over, and I'm super excited to give these a shot. He made a couple, but he sent over 2 of these pins so I can get them in the machine. And I think I'm going to conclude this video by putting these in the Gerstner, seeing which one fits better. But this is so cool. These are Dave's originals. He made these things for me so they could go into the Gerstner. And yeah, I think the next thing we should do is get things mounted up over here and take a look at the Gerstner and put those in. Let's finish up this video, and what we're going to do is test these pins for the Gerstner. And what I'm talking about is this front door here. Flips up and folds down. You've seen it many times, but this is how it works. the lid comes up, and there's a pin here, and there's one on this side that's missing. And when it's down, this lid will not come open. When it's up, the lid comes down, and there's these two holes here where the pin drops into. So that's what I'm missing on this side. This one exists, it's over here. I don't know if it comes out. There is a brass insert on the top, which I need to use here. And ultimately, we need to just get one of these in there. Make sure this one fits. Perfect. Make sure this one fits. We'll use this one. Perfect. And what we need to do is get this in here. I got the springs in there. I'm gonna see if we can't press fit this down where it belongs and fix this side. I'm gonna tap that in there. I think my holes are a little crooked, but we'll get that cleaned up. Working really well. That is going to do. Here's a final video clip of the part that Dave made for me. We got it installed. I just needed, this was kind of cockeyed. I just tapped on one end of this in order to shift it a little bit so it moves freely now. And then of course this is the original. And if we bring down the lid, lock it into place. Of course, both pins are locked down, and that will prevent somebody from, not that anybody would steal anything out of my shop because it's just me using it, but that is how it's designed to work. Bring that up, bring these down. Both sides are engaged. Of course, it's not going anywhere. Unclip it, bring it back up, and now both of the parts are raised so we can lower our lid again. Front panel. That is how it's designed to work. Very nice. Glad to have that back in there like it should be, and all is right with the world. Thank you, Dave. And again, thanks for all the other gifts. I appreciate it. It's just great to be able to get some of this materials that I've been wanting, some of the materials I didn't even know existed, and get different projects that I can use to work with all this stuff. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy me sharing this kind of stuff. Dave's been a good friend and a mentor throughout this hobby, and I've enjoyed collaborating with him and just talking to him over the last couple years. Thanks again, Dave, and I appreciate him and everyone for watching.